In June 1947, listening posts across the globe intercepted a terrifying Morse code transmission from the dark waters of the coast of Indonesia. The message read, "All officers including captain are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead." Then a few minutes later came one final, chilling sentence: "I die." When an American rescue ship finally located the vessel, the SS Ourang Medan, they were entirely unprepared for the nightmare waiting on board. Every single crew member was dead, but there was not a single drop of blood. Their faces were frozen in absolute terror, mouths gaping, eyes wide open, and every single body was pointing up at the exact same spot in the sky. What did they see? And why did the ship inexplicably explode just hours later, erasing all evidence from the face of the earth? To understand what happened in those final, terrifying moments, we have to go back to the beginning. The frantic SOS was picked up by an American merchant ship, the Silver Star, navigating the notoriously treacherous Strait of Malacca. Recognizing the sheer desperation in the Morse code, the captain of the Silver Star immediately altered course, pushing his engines to the limit to reach the coordinates. When the Silver Star finally pulled alongside the Ourang Medan, there was no sign of life, no movement on the decks, no response to their radio hails or the blast of their ship's horn. Just an eerie, heavy silence hanging over the water. The captain assembled a heavily armed boarding party. As they climbed the rope ladder and stepped onto the silent deck, the tropical heat was suffocating. It was nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside. But as they descended into the ship's dark interior, the temperature inexplicably plummeted. Members of the boarding party later reported a deep, unnatural chill, a freezing, bone-piercing cold that seemed to radiate from the metal bulkheads themselves, despite the scorching sun above. And then they started finding the bodies. The crew wasn't just dead, they were frozen in place like statues. The men in the boiler room were still standing at their posts, their lifeless hands gripping tools. Even the ship's dog was found dead in the hallway, its teeth bared, snarling aggressively at an invisible enemy. There were no signs of a struggle, no wounds, no weapons drawn, no blood. Whatever killed the crew of the Ourang Medan did it instantly, and whatever it was, it absolutely terrified them before it took their lives. The captain of the Silver Star knew they had to get this ghost ship back to port for a full investigation. He ordered his men back to their ship to prepare a heavy tow line. But the ocean had other plans. Just as the tow line was secured, a sinister, thick black smoke began pouring from the lower decks of the Ourang Medan. The explosion of the SS Ourang Medan wasn't just a tragic end to a mystery, it was the perfect cover-up. When the ship sank to the bottom of the Malacca Strait, it took all of its secrets with it. But in the decades since, investigators have pieced together a terrifying and highly plausible reality. Forget ghosts or sea monsters. The truth is likely hidden in the dark, unregulated world of post-World War II smuggling. In 1947, the world was still reeling from the war. Military stockpiles were scattered across the globe. Researchers now strongly believe the Ourang Medan was acting as a black market smuggler, carrying a highly illegal and wildly unstable cargo. Two specific substances are the main suspects: potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin. Imagine the scene: deep in the rusted, poorly ventilated cargo holds of the ship, rough seas cause the illegally secured barrels to shift and crack. Seawater leaks into the hold, mixing with the potassium cyanide. This deadly chemical reaction instantly releases a massive, invisible cloud of toxic hydrogen cyanide gas. As the gas silently crept up through the ship's ventilation, it would have paralyzed and asphyxiated the crew within seconds, perfectly explaining their frozen expressions of terror, their gasping mouths, and the complete lack of blood or struggle. But there is an even darker theory. Some historians point to the notorious Japanese Biological and Chemical Warfare Research Division, Unit 731. After the war ended, it's widely believed that secret caches of their experimental nerve agents were quietly moved around the globe to keep them out of enemy hands. If the Ourang Medan was secretly transporting a leaking World War II nerve agent, it would explain the instantaneous, horrific death of everyone on board. And the subsequent explosion? Nitroglycerin is incredibly unstable. A small fire breaking out in the boiler room, eventually reaching the smuggled explosives, would be more than enough to blow the ship apart, erasing the ultimate war crime from the face of the earth. With the ship at the bottom of the sea, investigators turned to the paper trail. If a massive Dutch freighter exploded in the busy Malacca Strait, there would certainly be official records, right? But here is where the story takes its most chilling turn. When maritime researchers checked Lloyd's Register of Shipping, the ultimate comprehensive global authority on merchant vessels, the SS Ourang Medan simply didn't exist. There was no registration, no official hull number, no port departure logs from China, and no crew manifest. It was a true ghost ship, entirely erased from the world long before it ever sank. Even the Silver Star, the American ship that supposedly answered the SOS, had a murky history. While the Silver Star was a real vessel, its official logbooks are conveniently missing crucial pages from those exact dates in 1947. For years, skeptics used this lack of evidence to dismiss the entire tragedy as an elaborate maritime myth. A ghost story told by drunk sailors to scare new recruits. That is, until the CIA files were declassified. In 1959, C.H. Mark, an assistant to the director of the CIA, received a heavily classified letter from an unknown operative. This document, which was kept locked away from the public for decades, explicitly detailed the Ourang Medan incident. The letter suggested that the American intelligence community not only knew about the ship, but was deeply invested in identifying the unknown force that killed its crew. This begs a terrifying question. Why would the highest levels of American intelligence be sharing top-secret memos about a merchant ship that officially never existed? The answer is brutal in its simplicity. A ship that doesn't exist on paper is the perfect vessel for a cargo that doesn't exist legally. If the Ourang Medan was carrying an illegal, highly classified biological weapon, then we have to look much closer at the ship that supposedly rescued them. The American freighter, the Silver Star. According to the official narrative, they just happened to be navigating the strait and picked up the SOS. But in the ruthless world of post-war intelligence, coincidences of that magnitude are incredibly rare. Modern naval historians have pointed out a glaring, uncomfortable inconsistency in the captain's actions. The captain of the Silver Star was suspiciously quick to board a silent, unresponsive ghost ship in international waters without waiting for official military backup. He immediately sent a heavily armed crew into a potentially highly hazardous zone. And what happened next? The very moment they attach a tow line to bring the ship to port, the Ourang Medan conveniently catches fire and explodes, sinking to the bottom of the ocean and taking all physical evidence with it. Was it really a tragic accident caused by leaking nitroglycerin? Or was the Silver Star actually sent there on a covert mission? A deliberate cleanup operation. Think about it. If the experimental nerve agent leaked and killed the crew, the cargo was hopelessly compromised. It was too dangerous to be brought into any public port. It had to be eliminated. The fire in the boiler room might not have been a spontaneous accident. It is entirely possible that it was intentionally set by the boarding party. Their orders weren't to save the ship. Their orders were to scuttle it, ensuring the darkest secrets of World War II stayed buried forever. The SS Ourang Medan remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in maritime history. Whether it was the victim of an illicit and deadly chemical leak, a covert assassination using leftover World War II nerve gas, or a deliberate intelligence cleanup operation, the absolute truth is permanently buried at the bottom of the Malacca Strait. The story of this ghost ship stands as a chilling reminder. The ocean is vast, unforgiving, and terrifyingly good at keeping the darkest secrets of humanity. What do you think really happened to the crew of the Ourang Medan? Was it chemical weapons or something else entirely? Let me know your theory in the comments below. If you appreciate this kind of deep, realistic historical investigation, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next dive into the world's most classified mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.